I just hit the live button, so the countdown's live. So anything you guys happen to say when you're on, everybody will hear us.
Cool. Sounds good. See you in a bit.
All right.
You gonna turn up some tunes there, Chris, or no?
Yeah.
1974 radio.
There we go. Can you hear those all right?
Yeah. Got it.
Cool. You okay with it?
Huh? I'm just saying. You won't be able. Now I gotta I wanna I need to send him a text. I'm gonna wait till the strike's up, and I wanna have the energy going and send a text to One of these very custom systems.
All right. Good morning, everybody. Hey, it's the Renny Doyle podcast. We got a special guest with us. We'll get into introducing. Chris has got quite the bio on this guy. Somebody I've known for many years in the industry. And Claude, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good, Renny. Doing good.
Right on, man. So, hey, Chris, what's on the hey, Claude, you don't know. Chris always wears these different shirts, and I'm kind of jealous.
Yeah, today is a Toyota Land Cruiser pickup truck.
That's awesome. Boy, could you imagine?
Little muddy.
If you could imagine owning that right now, what that thing would be worth?
Oh, man. Yep.
Dude.
Yeah, they do all right.
So, for those that don't know, we started a kind of a new series. Is Chris and I are, we're just not into detailing, is really into cars. And as you can see, Chris always has a different shirt on. So we started a new series called the Double Black Lifestyle. And Chris introduced. What were you doing to you're doing something to Cougar with the wheels, right?
Yeah, I got some new wheels for the old Cougar, and I had to test fit them because I thought they weren't going to fit.
Did they fit?
It's like literally that much clearance from the one of the suspension parts, so they fit.
Really?
So I got a set of tires to go on them. They're supposed to show up today.
So are they retro, or what are they?
The wheels are they're retro style. They're a Magnum 500 style wheel from the 60s, but they're a non-retro size. They're 16-inch diameter, 8-inch wide, so a little bigger.
Wow, interesting.
So,
all right, so he did a cool video, kind of showing that. That was cool, by the way. And then Claude, how old are you?
I will be 63 in a couple of weeks. On the 16th of April, actually, my birthday is coming up. I'll be 63.
Happy birthday, brother.
Thank you.
We live in the era where bicycles was huge. And, a set of wheels, man, when you're a kid. So I had a BMX bike when BMX first came out, and I went back and spent, some stupid money and bought an old BMX bike that I had, almost exact same bike as I had as a kid that got ripped off when I was 14. But I got it in the shop. I put it all back together this week, and I kind of filmed a little bit, of that. And so anyway, tune into that. So hey, today's podcast brought by a couple special companies. Of course, P&S. We want to thank them. Now, Chris, they're dropping some products lately, man. I mean, they're dropping some products. We had Legend Coating come out.
Legend and some pints of View.
Yeah, so we've got True View, window cleaner. And then we had heard a lot of people asking about, they wanted kind of a trial size, because dynamic dressing's a dynamic dressing. It's kind of an all-purpose. I use it mainly for interiors, but it will work. It works really well. I do it, but it might be if you're not real choosy about your dressings. A lot of people thought it was a little expensive to get into. So we came out with the pint sizes, and it's 4-to-1, and we're going to be doing a video on how to use both of these, but we're all pretty excited about that. So we want to thank P&S for coming in and underwriting this, making it possible to get cool dudes like this on the show. So Chris, you got a pretty cool bio on this dude. So
yeah, a little bit, nothing too fancy, but today we got the one and the only Claude Harris Jr. Right? The junior's important, right?
Yes.
He is the OG detailer, and he's the owner and operator of Final Appearance Detailing and Protection, which is out here in Southern California in Santa Fe Springs. So Claude's been detailing for like 30 years almost. I know you'll probably get into what you started out of the trunk of your I think it was a Caprice.
Yes.
Classic, you said, but but the other cool thing is Claude is the 2019 IDA Detailer of the Year, and he wasn't able to attend Mobile Tech when he got the award, so I was lucky enough to be able to bring it back for him and deliver it to him. That was fun.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Yeah, that was the last time I got to see you.
Yeah.
All this stupid little thing called COVID, in between 2019 and God knows, when. They're saying that it's getting back to normal, but I guess it is, because I was down the hill yesterday. The cranky drivers are definitely back. And people, man, I mean, you've driven with me. I'm no sissy driver, dude. People are crazy, and I got a car that can handle speed. These people are in like Dodge Neons, driving like they've got a 911.
That's right.
And it's, dude, that thing's going to disintegrate. It's going to be like a grenade going off, because all the parts are going to hit everybody on the freeway. Smash that thing, it's crazy. So before Claude gets into to introduce, I'm going to introduce him a little bit. So, I'd watched this guy in the early days online, and it was always a class act. And one of the first things, and we'll get into it later in the show, was that I picked it up that he was a true man of faith, and he wasn't scared to talk about his faith, and wasn't scared to show his faith, but he lived his faith. That's the first thing I noticed, that he lived his faith. The other thing is he's not a sissy boy faith guy. Is that this is a cool dude, man, and he is. I mean, you know what I'm saying. I mean, there's those guys out there that I won't pick on anybody, but there's just guys. I don't know. You're a manly man, and I dig that, because you're not afraid to say how you feel, and you're not over boisterous. You don't judge people, and then the other thing I noticed is the dude's a realist. Is that he kept it real with his business and his career. We're going to get into that right now. But I'm really proud to have him on. I'm proud to call him a friend. And every time we see each other, we always have a good time. So, Claude, welcome, buddy. Tell us about it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys, for having me. I appreciate it. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
So let's go back so we're going to start out with Claude Harris Jr. So it's an important part. Tell us why that's important.
Well, my father is a senior. He's passed now, but he's I got the name, and I was carrying on the legacy. So my son is the third.
Oh, wow.
But I think it's gonna stop there, because one, he just had I have another grandchild, which is his first child, and it's a girl.
Yeah.
It is a girl. I said it was a girl. It is a girl. And he's the last one. He's the one that's gonna be able to carry my name on. So whatever he does, if he doesn't have a son, then
Claude's not a horrible name for a girl. I mean, it'd be different. I mean, my daughter's name is Darren, my middle name.
Okay.
You can make it happen.
Oh yeah, and it can always be Claudia.
That's exactly it. You can change it, and then. See, we got to get with your son and sell him on this stuff, man.
Yeah.
Well, so where'd you grow up, man?
I grew up in New York City.
Wow. So how old were you when you came out west?
I came out west in 1976.
So you're young.
I was still young. I was about 17.
Yeah.
Something like that. It's so funny, because I was listening to Jace, and I didn't know that he originally came from New York as well, and then he went to Antigua. But
that's it. So 1976, Southern California.
Woo!
Pretty freaking cool spot, man.
Man, it was.
Just to make you guys feel old, I was born in 1976.
Yeah, that's why they call me the OG.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So that part of Southern California wasn't cool, but hey, Claude, back to it. The rest of it was cool, except for Chris, being born. So
yeah.
You get in SoCal, man. I mean, I want to those that didn't. I mean, I just like Chris, he missed out on it, but I mean, those were just some freaking cool times, right?
Yes.
I mean, it was just I don't even know how to put it. I mean, it was the bicentennial. Remember that? I mean,
yes.
Cool. Yep. And I don't know. It was just like everything was popping, and it was just, everybody got along. I think,
Yes.
We just didn't have a lot of the crap going on that we have now. And you ever look back and you look at the world and go,
what happened?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's like, man, it's like, no, it's not because we're aging. It's because shit screwed up. It's like, wow, what the hell?
It's funny. It's funny. Like when I came, and then when we came, it's funny because the way we got out here is my mom had a friend, and she came out and visited one year. I don't remember what it was. It might have been like maybe in the 70s. She came out on vacation, and then she came back to New York. She said, "We're moving to California." We're going like, "Yeah, right."
Yeah.
And then lo and behold, that 5 years or 6 years went fast. And she said, "Well, I have a plane ticket for you, and you can either come or you can stay here with family and do what you're going to do." And I was just finishing high school. And I was like, what do I got to lose? It's like, so we pulled up stakes. My mom was a single parent. She was raising us. I mean, she worked hard. She did a lot of things, and she uprooted us, man. And I tell you, it's the best thing when I go back home and I see people that are still there, still just like never got out of that bubble. I just thank God that she made that move, man, because I wouldn't be where I am today if she didn't make that move.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. So now, where were you in New York? Where'd you grow up in New York City?
I grew up in Staten Island, which was a little small part. But I lived in Brooklyn for a while, so I kind of try to rep that part of it, because my wife is sitting here and she's originally from New York, and she's from the Bronx, and in New York they don't recognize Staten Island as a borough because we're so small. But it was a cool place because it was kind of like a suburb, and it was a city within a city. And I really just growing up on the East Coast, man, it just had a whole nother flavor when it was coming up, man. We played basketball, and back then it was like the projects were like new. It was a new thing, and it was like a little world. And you had all these friends, you did all these things, you kind of stayed out of trouble. We had little cliques that we ran around with, but we didn't have no gangs or anything like that. And just, so it was a different life.
Man, that's that. I mean, look at, I mean, dude, you got best of both worlds. So here's the time. So my great grandmother, when she came over from Italy, she was pregnant with my grandpa. They landed in New York naturally from Italy. So my grandpa came over. They landed in New York and then moved to Pennsylvania, and then they came out west. He was the same age as you. He's 16 when he came out, and so Thailand's too. They went to Chicago and stayed for a few years, and then they came out west from there. So they kind of made progression. But so much of our roots come from the East Coast. So it's kind of cool.
My grandmother is from the West Indies, and she came through Ellis Island. She came on a boat when she was like 14 years old.
Damn.
And that's how it started, man. And literally, she has her name on Ellis Island. She has, how they have all the names printed out. Yeah, they passed through Ellis Island, man. Yeah. I mean, I'll tell you, the Italians, man, they were big. They were in New York, man. All that, and that they became famous for so much food.
Oh yeah.
I mean,
Marco is our surname. Is my mom's.
Okay.
And so they came out of there. So hey, so introduce yourself and your background, where you're from and stuff. But how so you come out here? How'd you get into detailing? I mean, let's go into that.
Okay, so the detailing thing came about when right around I've always had a love for cars. Coming up as a teenager, man, me and my buddies, we used to tinker with cars and stuff like that. And just was always kind of wanted to be around that thing. Well, back and also too, talk about riding bikes. We used to ride bikes back then. I remember having a Swin Stingray. Oh man, it was like, and then we got into the 10 speeds and we used to ride, because back then you had to be old. We didn't have a lot of cars because we had mass transportation. So cars we weren't like 16, 17 getting our licenses. We were like riding our bikes and kind of doing things like that. So, but the detailing thing came because I had a love for cars. So, when I came to California, I started my family, had things going on. And then around the 80s, the cocaine thing hit, the whole cocaine wave hit. And, had a lot of issues with the mother of my kids and all that kind of stuff. So my mom, she wound up relocating because when we moved to the IE, we was in Montclair, Ontario. Pomona I was like, that, didn't even know it, but was right down the street from Renny. Yeah. But Montclair, Ontario, Pomona, we wound up being in that area for a long time. And then when, right around when the cocaine hit and stuff like that, I wound up being a single parent. I wound up relocating to Long Beach because my mom was like, look, come down here. I'll help you with the kids, so on and so forth. So at that point, my oldest daughter, my sister said, you know what? Hey, I'm going to step in and help you, because my oldest daughter was around 12. My son was around 8, and then my youngest was like 5 or 6. So she wound up going to the East Coast. My sister pretty much raised my oldest daughter, and to this day she's married and lives on the East Coast, married to an officer. But she so the family got breaking up. I had to come down. My mom helped me out. So I went on that path of trying to find me some work. So I'm going here, going there. That's when the computer things were big, and I did all of these different things. And then one day my mom said, you know what, why don't you just go back to school and, just try to do something. So I went to Long Beach City, got in there, started taking some general ed classes. And one day I was walking past the counseling place and I saw a business. And I said, man, I always wanted to start my own business. I grabbed the paper and I looked at the courses. And the first course I took was Introduction to Entrepreneurship. And sitting in that class, the instructor, one of the things he says, a lot of times businesses are start from hobbies. And I was like, I said, what do I like to do? And I said, well, I'm always, washing cars on the weekend here and there and being around cars. I started to do the research. I looked, and then right around then, this would be around the 90s when I finally made that trek. It was around the 90s. So mobile detailing was, just kind of getting on the rise. And I started looking at how many cars were in California. People were getting busy. So then I started to look into it. And next thing I know, it's like, yeah, people are going to job sites, and mobile was the thing. It was an easy startup, low startup. And then I started to just, like I said, I started to do my research. I started to look. And fortunately, I was taking business classes. So it helped me as far as demographics and doing a little bit of homework before I got into it. And I looked and I said, man, this is going to be, I think I can do this. So that's how it started for me. And yeah, that's how it started.
So let's talk about slow roll. I already know the answer to this one. So I'm setting us up because I want people to listen to this. OG for a reason, right? OG for a reason. Is slow roll startup or rapid growth? What pathway did you take in your detailing career?
Slow roll. Yeah.
And why was that? What was your decision? Because you've got a career that you balance with detailing, correct?
Yeah. Yes.
So, today, and I think that you'll just kind of going off script a little bit, but I see a lot of these people, and they'll see, Chris and I always remind people, hey man, you see the shop that we've got, we're blessed. This is overnight success, 30 years in the making. And
I love that.
So people see, and listen, man, bigger's not better. I ran a $1 million operation out of a 1,200 square foot shop. But you see now the tendency is, all these guys of getting, Viagra in their system, and they see these big shops, and everybody wants a big shop, but then you got to pay for it. You got to pay everything, associated with it going big. Yes. And so what was your kind of principle of you stayed mobile for a long, how long have you been mobile?
Wow. I got the shop I just got a reminder from my tenant, or the place that I'm at right now. And I just finished a 2-year lease.
Wow.
So I'm redoing it. So I think it was 2019.
Wow.
So from 1992, when I started in the trunk of my 79 Caprice Classic, to 2019, I was mobile.
Damn.
I was mobile.
And it's a lot of people who look at that. First off, Southern California, we got the weather for it.
Yes.
We got the environment for it. And, I won't say that Southern California was the birthplace of mobile detailing, but it was probably the Garden of Eden for, mobile detailing. Just because we got the environment for it, we got the weather and everything else. And so let's talk about, going out of your trunk. What was the progression? And so you started out in 92, you're working out of the trunk, you got this idea, you got this dream, and, what was your motivation? Why'd you say, hey, I want to do my own thing?
Well, I had to, I was looking for not something to do, but to try to take care of my family. So I started the detailing, started in my trunk of my car, and it was working. It was going good. So I started to, just start to work the business. Next thing you know, I finally moved up and got a van. I started picking up some accounts here and there, and probably I want to say maybe about a year, maybe 2 years into it, I stopped and I was like, I'm going to be a car washer. And not that it was a bad thing, but I stopped and I said, okay, I'm either going to have to break down, get a business plan, get some rigs out here. And I kind of looked at it right away and I said, okay, I got to get rigs for taking care of the fleets and, set up something for detailing, because I started noticing, okay, the car washing is the bread and butter. That's where you're making your money. And I'm steadily doing it, but then I started noticing that I couldn't do detailing, because now I got into it because I wanted to detail, but I couldn't detail cars because I was so busy running around washing cars. So something told me to put the brakes on it, and it kind of coincides with my faith and my walk, because I got saved in 1992, gave my life to Christ in 1992, and I started my business pretty much simultaneously. So that's where I started. They tell you in church, being new in church, they say, man, you got to give everything to God. You got to give your business, your life, everything to God. If you need something, ask God for the plan. Well, I took that advice. I asked God for the plan. And that's when he said, get a job, get a good job to take care of your family. You can have benefits for your kids. Because literally, man, I was like, I was even like trying to get assistance for a minute, because I was a single parent, couldn't have a job, anything. And I'm going like, well, this is not me. I mean, I got to grind it out. I got to make it happen, take care of these kids. Because, and also too, a single parent, man, that was kind of rare, you know what I mean? And we didn't get the love that, that probably we should have got. But neither here or there. It's like, I'm going to take care of my kids, because that's the way that I was brought up to do. So I looked into doing some other things in the business. And then I said, you know what? I asked God for the plan. He said, get a job. So I said, okay. So I put the brakes on the detailing for a little while, slow and roll. And then I started to work on the career. I wanted to find something. When I asked him for the plan, he says, get a good job and then build your business, build it slow. And I said, okay. So I started to do that. Started looking for my career. What could I do that I can work around this thing where it's going to benefit me to start building this business slow? Well, it came to be that it was in the custodial business, maintenance, because after I started doing my research, I found out that, hey, at the schools, they're making good money. And so I did a little bit of research, found out that the college, the colleges, the community colleges was the ticket, because they were there at night and everybody was cleaning late. So I said, this would be perfect. I can work at night, and then in the detailing, I could do my detailing in the daytime. So I started to do my thing, praying, getting everything set up. Lo and behold, I wound up in 1999. This is through like several jobs. I even had a job where I worked at a janitorial place and was almost a nightmare. They used to go and clean, this tell you how long ago, Blockbusters. They used to do Blockbusters, and Starbucks was just starting up. Went to that place, worked there for about a year because it was a terrible kind of situation. But I got enough experience to where I could go to the college, because they wanted you to have about 6 months experience. Went in as a sub-custodian, and the rest was kind of history, man. I started there and I looked and I said, oh my goodness, this is the land of milk and honey. Man, they're paying you good money. They got benefits, retirement. I'm going like, okay, this could be a good thing. So then I started to work on the business. Slowly, I was doing it on the weekends then, because that's, I was started out on the weekends when I was doing the other jobs. But then when I went to the night shift, I started to have to figure out how I was going to adjust my body, my time, because typically when you work a graveyard, they call it graveyard for a reason, but typically when you work a graveyard, you get home, you go to sleep, and you're sleeping for half the day. Well, I started to really put this plan together. I was like, look, I need to do something in the daytime. I need to get the best bang for my buck for my time. So what I would do, and I tell people sometimes, a lot of it became mental. Some of it became mental, because I used to tell myself, when you work a regular job, you go home, you don't go to sleep, right? You go home, you have dinner, do whatever, and then you go to sleep, right? Well, I started thinking the same way. I said, why am I going to go home and go right to sleep, right? I need to stay up. So at one time, I started going to the gym. I started working out. And when I finally kind of got this thing figured out, I got it to the point where I started to figure out that I would live on power naps. So I incorporated, and I got my body, pretty much my body and my mind, to start working on power naps. So I would, when my schedule got pretty steady at work, it wound up being that I would come home in the morning, sleep for about 3 hours, get up about 9. I wouldn't set any appointments until 10 o'clock. But this set me up. Now I'm not a car. When I went back and started doing it more, I didn't have to car wash. So that was out. So now I just focused on detailing. Now I'm like, okay, I'm focusing on the detailing. I go out, I do a detail, and I come home. So I started, and the other way I started to get that way is that on the detailing side, I started to think, hey, I wanted to be detailing, and I used to go around, like, I cut my teeth on McGuire's because they're around, because that's when I started. He said the other thing he told me was to work on your skill set. And I got and I got the skill set, though, when I started going around to McGuire's. I was going to the open garages and the different things, and then I started meeting the other detailers. Well, when I would come around them, and back then, Renny, a lot of them had egos and they didn't want to share stuff. So when I'd be talking to them, they was like, hey, what do you do? And I said, well, I'm mobile, but I'm just part-time. And they go like this. Oh, yeah, you're just a shade tree. Yeah. And I want to say I got discouraged maybe for a split second, because I said, you know what? I went back to God and I was asking more about the plan. He said, son, check this out. Work on your skill set. You work on your skill set, and it doesn't matter if you do it for an hour or if you do it for a living. You work on your skill set, and they won't be able to touch you. And I was like, okay. So then I got on this quest to get educated, to get skilled. Every time there was a seminar, every time something was open here and there, I was there. I was in the face of people, and I was picking their brains. I would pick it until they didn't let me pick it anymore. I go to the next guy. All of a sudden he stopped and said, oh, well, I don't know about, okay, that's fine. I wouldn't, shake his hand, make it, keep that relationship, whatever, with everybody. And then that's how I started to go. Then I started just really, really getting my education and my skill set.
You bring up a great topic, and that's stop. I'm a car washer. Is that we had a young entrepreneur I was talking to not too long ago in class, and you can trap yourself in that real quickly. And I'm not saying that, hey man, I know it pays the bills, but there's a way to do it and there's a way not to do it. And too many people get caught up in that, and before they know it, they're making minimal money per hour because they're taking and concentrating on cash flow to keep them alive instead of services that can make them wealthy. And so now take us from you go into a shop. So 2 years, what's been some of the realities? If you had to go back and tell yourself 2 years ago, what, about having a shop, A, do you wish you would have done it sooner? And then B, what's some of the realities of it that you could share with others?
Okay, so the shop, and to be honest, I really never kind of wanted a shop. I was having fun with mobile. I was like a hardcore mobile. I love the fact that you could do all of these different things, all these techniques that you had to do to make a car look nice in the environment. I used to get off on that because it's like, yeah, man, let me make this black car look like fabulous out there, you know. So I didn't really, it didn't really, I wasn't really looking for the shop. It was kind of like a progression with the coatings and everything starting to come. And I've always kept this business. The business has always been a passion. And that was the thing too, with the car washing and the way that I kind of built this thing is I always wanted to keep it a passion, not knocking the big shops and everybody getting these things. And they got 15 cars in there. It used to never bother me. It never got jealous because look, I'm in this to make, when I finally figured it out, I say, look, I'm here to make cars look nice one at a time, one car at a time. I'm okay with that. I'm fine. I don't have to be this. I'm not here for the fame and all that kind of stuff. I want to have fun. I want to meet some guys and just make cars look nice. So the shop was like never even like on the radar until the coating started to come. And then when the coating started to come, I jumped on board and I didn't take that because you know how we are. We're like, oh, what's that? That's not going to work. And the first thing that most of the guys in the industry say, oh, why am I going to coat a car and, you know, charge them $1,000 and then I'll never see them again? I'm going like, that's not really that. You shouldn't be thinking that way. But because of, you know, and I found out in the industry, because we have so many people coming from so many different walks of life, blue collar, guys that know how to work, don't know how to work, whatever, you get all these people in their mentality is kind of like, that's what really hurt us. I guess the business, not having any business savvy is what hurts a lot of the guys coming in. Sometimes they fail. So then the coating started to come. I started doing them in my garage. And, I was, doing it in my garage. People were coming to my house, whatever. I started doing it. Well, it got to the point where I started having cars coming straight from the dock and parked in my driveway. I got Aston Martins parked on the street. And I'm going like, okay, and I had to make a decision. Okay, I'm either going to continue to do this or I'm going to just like stay mobile and just, because at that time there wasn't really any coatings that you could use mobilely because everything had to be, So I was like, okay, I'm going to follow and I'm listening to God and kind of doing my thing at the same time. And I said, okay, let me keep going. So what I did, I started to research about shops, what it would take and what was going on. And at that time, there was a lot. If you were working on cars, if you had these different things, they had all these restrictions. So I kind of learned my chops. I would go out. I had a broker person take me around to different places here and there. And they go, oh, no, you're detailing. Oh, no, you got to wash cars. You got to do this. You got to do that. So it kind of popped my bubble a little bit. I said, okay, I think I'll wait. So what I did is I took 1 year and I said, you know what? If I do one coating a month for a whole year, I said, because I'm thinking in my mind, like basics, right? I said, I can handle a shop, because they were, $1,500, $1,000 a month. So I said, okay. I took my time. I said, okay, you know what? I'm going to, if I can make $1,000 a month per straight for 12 months, I'll consider it. Went the whole 12 months. It did fine. I even passed it. I was doing 1 to 2 a month. I said, okay, it's doing pretty good. Went out, looked again to see about getting a place, and it was here and it was there. Nah, we don't want to do this. We don't want to do that. And I said, okay. I even tried to get a place, and they kind of shut me down. I said, okay, no problem. Then I said, you know what? I'm going to take another year. Let me take another year and see if I can't ramp this thing up some more. I said, okay, I want to do 2 to 3 a month for a year. And if I can do that, then I'm just going for it. So then second year came, and then I was doing this is now the coatings have started now, because 2013, 2014, it was kind of okay. When it got to around 16, 17, 18, the coatings just started getting hot. Man, I man, I was turning 2 and 3 and 4 a month. And I was like, okay. And then I just told myself mid-year, I said, 2019, spring of 2019, I'm gonna pull the trigger. And when I went around to all the other places, like I said, I got my bumps from these places and I knew what to say. So when I went, I said, oh no, I'm only doing aesthetics. I'm only doing, because I was only doing coatings and I was doing clear bra. This is only aesthetics. And it started to work. And lo and behold, when I made that, I said, you know what, spring of 2019, I'm going to pull the gun. And it all came together. I'm talking like I can almost walk to my house. And it's between my home and my job. It's like, it's perfect. And it's a clean park, because some of the parks we went to, they have potholes. They said, man, I got some high-end stuff coming. It's like, I can't have my clients coming here. And like I said, after time and after research, I found the perfect place. And it's funny because when they were vetting me, we had this long trail of this email and they're going back and forth and back and forth. And one day he called me, he says, Claude, he says, you know what? The reason why we're doing all of this research on you, and I felt it was so good and so honest, because a lot of business people, they don't do this. They said, the reason why we vetted you like that, we want to make sure if we pull you into our park, that there's no restrictions that's going to stop you from making money. Wow. I was like, wow. Because he says, you know what? Some of these parks, they'll take you in. Then all of a sudden they come by, hey, you can't be washing that car, or you can't be taking that engine out. And now you're out of here. And I was like, wow. I said, you know what? I appreciate that. He said, man, we've been looking at your website. We see that you still do detailing. Going like, yeah, because they were worried because there was no water hookups and stuff like that. I said, yeah, I still do detailing and stuff like that. And they said, yeah. Okay, well, if that's not good, if you don't have any more restrictions, we're ready to pull the plug. We're ready to do it. And I'm going like, oh my goodness, I'm getting ready to get this shop. And when it kind of boiled down to them with their water situation, because they didn't want to have to set something up for me and all of that kind of stuff. So I said, so while it was open, I said, well, I have my own self-contained, because I have my mobile unit. I said, I got my own self-contained water. They said, you do? And I said, yeah. I said, yeah. So does that mean I can detail cars? And they said, yeah. They said, we have guys coming around here all the time, just washing cars and doing stuff like that. And I said, oh, okay, well, cool. So I kind of ran with it. Of course, I have a low pressure system in my van, so I don't, run off and all that is a thing of the past for me for a long time ago. So I do a combination of O&R and my low pressure. I get the car wet like a spring shower and O&R that bad boy and keep it moving.
Yeah. Now you got the added bonus that your neighbors don't think you're a drug dealer anymore with Aston Martin's parked on the street.
That's a funny story. So I remember, Claude, we built a house in Idaho, and it was a pretty nice neighborhood, a lot of doctors and attorneys and stuff, and all the houses had different builders. And I remember, I just turned 40, and I'm sitting there in the smallest. This will give you the neighborhood. The smallest footprint you could have is 3,500 square foot house.
Okay,
well, they're pretty nice houses.
Man, that's nice.
I'm enjoying a cigar one day, and this guy comes up to me, and I knew who he was. He was an oral surgeon, and he goes, "So Renny, what do you do?" And I take a puff of my cigar, and I go, "I'm a detailer." And he kind of looks over my shoulder, and he looks at my house, and I take another puff, and I go, "I'm really good at it," because I had some pretty nice rides and stuff like that, and I swear to God, all of our neighbors thought we were like drug dealers, And of course, coatings are just coming into play. This is, 2005 is when we built 5.6 is when we built our 2006. But that's funny that Chris says that. So, we talked a lot about faith. I mean, it's obvious that you live by your faith, you work by your faith. So, hey, detailing success takeaways. So this is the time, Claude, we're going to ask you some of the really takeaway questions that we want to take and lay down some wisdom for these entrepreneurs, young or old, doesn't matter. But before we do that, Chris, we got somebody that's kind of underwritten today. And a matter of fact, I saw that he was on. It's kind of cool that he's doing this. So he's doing it. And so let's talk about Auto Fiber really stepped up. They worked with you on a project, and tell them about that.
Well, Ian at Auto Fiber, he's a pretty awesome guy, and Claude, he actually had some really nice things to say about you in the chat here today. So you have to go back and check that out. But he's an awesome part of our industry, and he's a great supporter of detailing success. And he recently sent out some awesome kits for our students to be able to take home with them. They're kind of like sample kits, but man, he went above and beyond with these things.
Pretty cool. So I was going to bring the kits out, but I'm not going to because you can't get them because it's only for the people that come to training. So I picked out, 3 things that I love. Naturally, the coating pad. I've always been into the full size pads. So when Ian made this, if you guys don't know, it's a chemical resistance to where the coating doesn't go in to the actual foam. It stays on the surface, makes it really easy to coat. And then these are probably 2 of my favorite is his numbered coating towels. And this is what I call, excuse me, his heavy towel. It's a really plush, but it's weighted. And so it doesn't fold up or roll up as you're coating. And then this one, man, nice long fiber, but you can see all the numbers. So as you're coating things, you can take and actually know where you're at on the towels. They come in an assortment of colors. So we want to thank Ian for being a champion in the industry and a champion here with us with our training centers. So Claude, let's jump into some good questions. We're going to try to keep this. We got about 5 minutes to go. Okay. And so we're going to take and keep this down to where we want it real. We can go over if we need to. So tell us, the man before me right now, if you could go back 20 years and you could talk to yourself 20 years ago, what's a couple messages you send yourself?
I think before you strike. Think before you strike, and anything that you venture out in and go into, because I think a lot of times we wind up backtracking or getting a detour or going sideways because we didn't do enough research. So I said, think before you strike. Because you don't even know, Renny, when we, get learning this stuff and going it, we bumble through a lot of stuff, and you can, lose a lot of time and waste a lot of time in life journey bumbling, when if you would have did a little research, took a little time out to just really check some stuff out, I think it would help you kind of sort through some things, learn from, like the mentors and getting mentors and things like that, where you don't have to kind of be sidetracked so much. You can kind of streamline a little bit more, especially now with all the resources and things that are available. I was like, man, I wish that I would, when I was young, that I would have did that, and I wouldn't have made some of the mistakes that I made, even in life.
Your startup story you were telling us. So I kind of feel like you did that research a lot. I mean, everything. You rolled with the punches, but everything you did seems like you were very calculated and took your time to research and find out if it was the right thing to do.
So Claude, you've been, it sounds like we got similar backgrounds. We had a lot of struggles when we were younger, and things didn't come so easy. And in my early days, I learned I had paralysis, paralysis by analysis. I'd analyze. And I finally came to a point in my life where it's caused me, I really believe in research, like you said. A lot of people don't look at the numbers. They don't look at the facts. They don't look at the dollars and cents. Mm-hmm. They just jump off of ignorance on fire or passion on fire. Listen, passion's what has taken me everywhere I've gone. But there's a real balancing act between paralysis by analysis and then like you said, being a study. And I'd agree with Chris. I think you've done a great job of studying what's around you. But it's interesting that you say that, because neither one of us are young guys by the industry standards, right? This is a young game. Something next is that something that stands out that people in the industry need to pay more attention to is that, boy, I mean, there's a lot of things, but is there something that right now that you just see, COVID's brought a lot of challenges on for a lot of people for different reasons. Most people I know are just slammed. They're really busy.
Mhm.
And I hate the word busy. Other people are really struggling. The industry turned on itself. We almost turned inside out a year ago. Friends became enemies. Enemies became bitter enemies. So, something stand out in the industry that you wish that these younger entrepreneurs would pay attention to?
I think that, like you said, post-COVID, we're finding, like what I'm finding here at the shop is that we have to be, with everything that's going on, we need to be more sensitive to, for me, I'm on a more personal basis with my customers. And I think that experience, that experience pours over. Like me and my wife here are working together here now, and people come in, and I'm sensitive to what they're going through. If there's a budget issue, if whatever is going on, we get personal still. And I think that with everything like social media and all of this kind of stuff that's kind of going on, people don't have that we can't hug people and stuff now. But people, they're coming out now, they're spending money, they're doing things. And I think as entrepreneurs and business people, we need to take more time to be more sensitive to people coming in. Like, that experience, I tell people, like a lot of times people, they come in, they say, yeah, I went over here and this happened. And I said, well, come on in and, this is us, and they get it, and we feed off of each other. My wife and I feed off each other, and people will come in, we get familiar with them. It's not just drop your keys off. And I'm not knocking it, because sometimes the big box places, they can't really do that. But I think that coming out of COVID, we need to be more like that humanistic thing. It needs to be, we need to talk, and we need to have that interaction, man, because so many people, I've been telling people, they say, hey, I look at your reviews, and I don't have a lot of reviews on Yelp or things like that. But one guy told me one time, he said, but your reviews are good. They're like, I'm starting to build them up a little bit more. I might have about 10 or so, and I have some on Google. But when they come in, they're getting that special treatment still. They're getting that customer service. That's always been my thing. Even when they started having in the banks, I picked it up in the banks, because I go to the bank, and all of a sudden they're putting these drones in the bank, right? So I'm asking the lady, hey, what's going on? I said, the reason I come to the bank is because I want to talk to somebody where I'm putting my money and stuff. So I already seen it back then. So what I told myself, I said, I'm just going to ramp up my customer service. I'm going above and beyond with my customer service, because you start seeing it in the restaurants and things, like people, they don't know customer service. So that customer service, that old customer service, and let's talk and let's go on what's happening, it's just not. And I think that that's something that we really still need to do, even if like the big box places get somebody who's just that person that kind of takes care of these people and does that special treatment, because people can, and this is what I've learned, people can take them now, especially post-COVID, they can take their money anywhere.
Yeah.
They're concerned. Not everybody's got money where they can just spill it all over, but they're concerned about it. So that's what we bring. And that's what we bring here at Final Appearance, is like, people could take their money anywhere, and they can, guys that can do anything. So,
it's a great point. I'm looking at making a possible purchase. And I've talked to several companies, and the lack of service right now is all of us. If you're a small mom and pop, it's the best time in the world.
Mm-hmm.
It just keeps getting better. We had 08 happen. 08 made it a better time to be a mom and pop. COVID just made it a better time to be a mom and pop. Not if you're a restaurant, because, poor souls. But even then, coming back, guess what? Hey, man, good service is a choice. Excellent service is a choice. Bad service is a choice.
Yes.
And,
yep.
I can't believe on how many companies are just offering crappy service. It's like, dude, do you even know that? I mean, how hard it is to get your phone to ring? Obviously not, but people will be screaming and crying like little babies when the economy slows down and they don't have any, they don't have any business. So that's a great point.
Mm-hmm.
One piece of advice that you'd like to offer to anybody tuning in today that you'd like to take and close this out with.
Okay, so it's kind of like I have like a few of them bunched together because I thought about it. One is building good and honest reputations. Good and honest reputations. That's what carried me from doing things like I work with with Troy Ladd. I mean, I cut my teeth on pretty much I'm a hot rod detailer, and we go back to some old friends, Sid and Kathy White. Mm-hmm. He wound up taking me under his wing, and he happened to be a hot rod guy. I mean, I did stuff for Boyd. I remember working in Boyd's shop when Chip was knee high to a pup. You know what I mean? Yeah. Things like that. And it's led to where, I mean, I just recently did a car for Bruce Myers. I did his nickel roadster that went to, that went to Pebble.
And so for those who don't know, a lot of people might not even know who you're talking about, is that, when you worked for Boyd Coddington, mm-hmm. and Chip Foose was, just a youngster. And so that takes you back at the level you're talking about.
Mm-hmm. And so those reputations have been built over the years. I mean, even my reputation with Renny, these people, every time I'm here, I'm with somebody, I'm always professional. I'm like this, and they go a long way because my name got dropped from my name got dropped to Bruce Myers by Troy Ladd. Mm-hmm. And then Bruce Myers gave my guy to, I just acquired a multi-million-dollar private collection that, so the reputation, I think it precedes you, but building that. And then the other one was remain teachable. I mean, all the time. And every time I get around Renny, it's personified, man. It's like, remain teachable. I mean, you can learn something from a 5-year-old. They could be doing something with a little tool. You're going like, oh, wow. Instead of being like, all puffed up and all this other kind of stuff. Nah, remain teachable. And then making this business, we have one of the unique businesses that to find your niche. And that's what I did. It's not for everybody. It's a model that I did, but I tell you, 30 years later, it's the best thing that I ever did because I didn't have to put wear and tear on my body. I didn't have to chase money. I picked and choose my clients. I rested when I wanted. Hey, I just turned, like you said, Renny, I'm going to be 63, and I could probably run circles around half of these cats because I used to hear in the industry, oh, man, these guys are 30 years old, and they're worn out. Their bodies are worn out. Their backs are worn out. And I'm going like, well,
they're detailing wrong. They are. Is they haven't learned the proper ergonomics. They haven't learned the proper services. They're freaking. I mean, I see that. Oh, dude, yeah, you just hit a nerve. Can you tell? Is it 24/7? I sleep, eat, detail, repeat. Yeah, you know what? What about life, gym, eating healthy?
That's right.
Yourself. Building relationships. I mean, yeah, I abused myself and probably my family with lack of time for maybe a decade because I just had to work this shit out to. Yeah. I always say four kids that like Nikes and cool shit, right? It's expensive. Yeah, but man, I'll tell you, man, you just hit something because, here's the deal is that, I'm sitting here to your point is remain teachable. I'm taking notes, dude. You're on my podcast. And I'm taking notes.
I love it, man. I love it, man.
Sorry, I interrupted, but you hit on something that I was
I'm telling you, Rand, it's like, and I take, like I said, I take wisdom and stuff and things from you. I mean, you and Justin hit on a podcast a long time ago, and I picked up from when you said about in it, and I take stuff in. I take stuff in when I hear stuff from you and other people. But you guys hit on about the guys doing the big places and the big shops, and these guys are getting 2 and 3 shops. He says, but the economy is going to crash. You told us, you said it. It's going to crash. What's going to happen due to all of these things? And I would think about that stuff and go like, man, he's right, man. But the one thing that I always kept with me in this business is, and because I did it with God, it's he told me that this detailing is a tool. Your job is a tool. All of it is a vessel. I'm sorry, not a tool, but a vessel. It's just a vessel. It's a vessel for me to meet people like Renny and Chris and all of these people. And I've always kept that mindset. I didn't have to have no fame. I have to be famous. You don't have to put me on a billboard. I don't need all of that kind of stuff because I'm just here to be with amongst a bunch of guys, having a lot of fun, sharing ideas. Hey, and I tell people straight up, I could stand flat-footed and say, I get paid to do a passion because I'm doing one car at a time. I'm getting paid to do a passion.
Amen. Yeah. Well, hey, words of wisdom, my friend. I want to thank you for coming on. Man, that was just
Thank you for having me. Thank you for having me.
Hey, let me tell you, man, those takeaways right there. Yeah, I don't care if you're 16 and listen to this, or you're 86. Is that you better have taken that to heart of what he just said. And there's so many things that I myself have written down notes that got out of this. And I'll tell you, if you get to meet this dude, he's a good man. And I always enjoy, Claude, I always enjoy being around you. You always put a smile on my face. It's always good to give you a hug. And so I want to thank you for coming in. Chris, it's, Ian, we want to thank Auto Fiber again for all of their support of not just our company and what we do, great products, but just for being a great example. You know him. Ian's a great example in the industry. And we just wanted to thank him on this episode. And then also for P&S, they make it happen. So Claude Harris Jr., thank you, sir, for coming in. It was my pleasure.
Thank you. And hey, I just want to throw out too, I made a note. I'm going to go back and listen to that last little part. I'm going to go re-listen to our own podcast. No,
dude. Hey, it's not too often that you put a spark plug up my butt. But man, I mean, you just hit it, dude. I mean, you just hit it. And so I knew you would. I knew you would. I mean, that's
great.
So, hey, do us a favor. If you're watching this, make sure to like it, make sure to share it, make sure to comment. And then anything that topics that you'd like to hear about, send it over to us, Renny@detailingsuccess.com. We'd love to take and get you on. Even if you've got a good guest, somebody that you'd love to have come on that you think would be a good mix. We're building our guests. How far out in advance are we now? We're
getting there. We're maybe about 8 weeks out right now.
I was gonna say it's a couple months. So but put it out there, and we got some new formats. Make sure to watch. We're doing some new videos. I just got a new camera, pretty cool. So I'm excited about bringing that in. But again, thanks everybody. Claude, man, killed it. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, Renny, I gotta show you. I gotta show you guys something.
Okay, do it.
I gotta show you something in my office. Okay, I have a little office. But I don't know if you can pick this up. But
check that, man. Yeah, dude. I'm honored.
Do you see that?
I do.
Do you see that? It's like, I was like, when people come in, they look and they see it, but I'm going like, that's my man right there. That's my man right there.
I'm honored. Feelings mutual, my friend. Hey, you need to get that lovely wife and get up here and come up and see us, man.
Yeah.
Okay, come up here.
Hey, you know what? And one of those things, I mean, because I do want to get up there because I have this thing that's kind of like on my bucket list. When I was back east, I used to fish.
Oh,
I want to come to Big Bear. I haven't fished probably since I've been to California, man. And that's one of my.
Come on up. Come on. And apparently we don't have COVID up here because all of Southern California is here. Apparently it just doesn't grow at 6,700 feet. You come on up, be our guest. We've got a spare room, and come on up, and we'd love to see you. So everybody, hey, have a blessed day. Take care of one another. Smile, and we'll talk to you real soon. Happy detailing all.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Thanks, Claude.
All right.